Welcome back, ladies and gents, to the She Knows Pro Football Podcast. Once again, I'm Alice, aka the NFL Girl. With the first week of preseason now complete, many teams are making big moves to get the right players in place for the upcoming season. With that said, we're going to talk about Duke Johnson, Morris Claiborne, Robert Quinn, Jermaine Kearse, Antonio Callaway, Chandler Catanzaro, Benny Cunningham, Sam Acho, Theo Riddick, Vedvik, Rico Gathers, Nate Wozniak, Minegar, Shon, Coleman, Terrance Smith, Derrick Jones, Shelton Gibson, Kevin McDermott, Darryl Drake, and Antonio Brown. So let's start with Duke Johnson. After months of demanding a trade, running back Duke Johnson finally got his wish. On Thursday, ESPN reported that the 25-year-old was traded to the Houston Texans for a conditional fourth-round pick in 2020. The pick could become a third-rounder depending on Johnson's performance with the team. Texans were in need of another running back in their backfield after releasing Donta Foreman last week. Johnson has spent the first 4 years of his NFL career with the Browns, but wanted a trade after the team acquired Kareem Hunt this offseason to go along with second-year running back Nick Chubb. In his 4-year NFL career, Johnson has amassed 299 rushes for 1,286 rushing yards, along with 235 receptions for 2,170 receiving yards and 13 total touchdowns. Despite a looming suspension, cornerback Morris Claiborne has found a new home for the 2019 season. On Thursday, NFL Network reported that the 29-year-old cornerback had signed a 1-year, $1.5 million contract with the Kansas City Chiefs with $1.5 million in incentives. Now that he is under contract, Claiborne will be suspended the first 4 games of the regular season. The veteran defensive back was drafted by the Cowboys in the first round in 2012. In his 5 injury-plagued seasons with the Cowboys, Claiborne amassed 151 tackles, 4 fumble recoveries, and 4 interceptions, and only played in 47 games out of a possible of 80. Claiborne signed with the Jets in 2017, where he would go on to play in 30 games over 2 seasons and amass 100 tackles, 22 passes defended, and 3 interceptions. Claiborne will be able to practice and play through preseason and training camp, but won't be available to hit the field in the regular season until week 5 against the Colts. Defensive end Robert Quinn will be starting the 2019 season away from the Cowboys. On Thursday, ESPN reported that the 29-year-old had been suspended the first 2 games of the 2019 season for violation of the league's policy on performance-enhancing drugs. Quinn's agent, Shon, released a statement shortly after the announcement, explaining that his client tested positive for a steroid masking agent at a minuscule level due to cross-contamination at a pharmacy where Quinn gets his seizure medication filled. Despite providing evidence to this fact and the league believing the ingestion was not intentional, the NFL chose to suspend Quinn anyway. Kiernan railed against the league for their decision and for his client's treatment during the process. Quinn had surgery to repair a broken hand and was set to be sidelined the first 2 games of the season, even before the sentence was handed down. The veteran defensive lineman will be available to play in week 3 of the regular season against the Dolphins. Just 1 preseason game into the 2019 season and wide receiver Jermaine Kearse's 2019 season is over. Kearse was injured on Thursday during the Lions preseason game versus the Patriots while he was blocking on a run play for Ty Johnson. The 29-year-old immediately went down with a gruesome leg injury that trainers quickly covered with a towel. Kearse had his leg immobilized in an air cast and was carted off the field. ESPN later reported that Kearse had suffered a broken leg and injury to his ankle. The Super Bowl 48 champion was signed by the Seahawks as an undrafted rookie in 2012. He would go on to spend 5 years with the team before signing with the Jets in 2017. He would spend 2 years in New York before signing with Detroit this offseason. The loss of Kearse leaves wide receivers Andy Jones and Chris Lacey competing for backup spots behind Marvin Jones Jr., Kenny Golladay, and Danny Amendola. Wide receiver Antonio Callaway will begin the 2019 season away from the Browns. On Friday, NFL Network reported that the 22-year-old was suspended the first 4 games of the 2019 season for violation of the league's substance abuse policy. The suspension was not related to a marijuana possession citation from last summer, but rather a separate incident. Shortly after the announcement, Callaway released a statement taking responsibility for his actions and promising to be a better person moving forward. Browns general manager manager John Dorsey released a statement stating he and head coach Freddie Kitchens were disappointed in Callaway, but offering their support. Callaway fell to the Browns in the 4th round of last year's draft due in part to a diluted test at the Combine. He will be available to play when the Browns face the 49ers in Week 5. Kicker Chandler Catanzaro has called it a career. On Sunday, the New York Jets announced that the 28-year-old had retired from the NFL. Chandler was originally signed by the Cardinals as an undrafted rookie out of Clemson in 2014. He spent 3 years in Arizona before signing with the Jets in 2017. He spent 1 year in New York before signing with the Panthers in 2018. He was released by Carolina in November after missing 2 field goals in a loss versus Washington. He was signed by the Buccaneers in December, following an injury to Graham Gano. He signed with the Jets this offseason, but after struggling through training camp and preseason, decided to walk away from the game. In his 5-year NFL career, Catanzaro completed 128 of 142 field goals, 182 of 196 PATs, and scored a total of 539 points. Running back Benny Cunningham is out in Jacksonville. On Sunday, the Jaguars released the 29-year-old to make room for offensive lineman Ben Ejilana. Cunningham was originally signed by the Los Angeles Rams as an undrafted rookie out of Middle Tennessee State in 2013. He spent 4 years with the team before signing with the Bears in 2017. He spent 2 years in Chicago before signing with the Jaguars this offseason. In his 6-year NFL career, the veteran rusher has amassed 191 rushes for 797 rushing yards and 4 rushing touchdowns, along with 114 receptions for 1,001 receiving yards and 3 receiving touchdowns. He was released with an injury settlement in hopes of signing with another team this season. Defensive end Sam Acho has found a new home for the 2019 season. On Sunday, the Buffalo Bills announced the signing of the 30-year-old. Acho was drafted in the 4th round by the Cardinals in 2011. He spent 4 years in Arizona before signing with the Bears in 2015. He spent 4 years in Chicago before signing with the Bills on Sunday. In his 8-year NFL career, the veteran defensive lineman has amassed 236 tackles, 17 sacks, 10 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, and 3 interceptions. Running back Theo Riddick will miss the early part of the 2019 season. On Sunday, Denver announced the 28-year-old suffered a fractured shoulder and would miss the remainder of the preseason and the first few games of the regular season. Riddick was released by the Lions during training camp and picked up by the Broncos a few days later. He is one of the more prolific pass-catching running backs in the league and was expected to have an immediate impact in the Broncos' passing game. Riddick was originally drafted by the Lions in the 6th round in 2013. He has spent his entire 6-year NFL career in Detroit before his release. In his 6-year NFL career, the veteran rusher has amassed 288 rushes for 1,023 rushing yards and 5 rushing touchdowns, along with 285 receptions for 2,238 receiving yards and 14 receiving touchdowns. His loss still leaves Phillip Lindsay, Devontae Booker, and Royce Freeman available in the early part of the season. Kicker Kaare Vedvik has a new home for the 2019 season. After an impressive performance for the Ravens in preseason, the 25-year-old was traded to the Vikings for a conditional 5th-round pick in 2020. Vedvik was signed by the Ravens as an undrafted rookie out of Marshall in 2018, but was placed on the reserved non-football injury list before the start of the season after a brutal assault left him with head and facial injuries. He will now make a fresh start in Minnesota. Tight end Rico has found his new home for the 2019 season. On Sunday, the Cleveland Browns announced the signing of the 25-year-old. The veteran pass catcher was originally drafted in the 6th round by the Cowboys in 2016. He spent his rookie season on the practice squad and his 2nd season on injured reserve before making his football debut last season and amassing 3 receptions for 45 yards. The Cowboys released him in August after a marijuana arrest in June. Gathers will serve a 1-game suspension for violation of the league's substance abuse policy before being available to the Browns in Week 2 versus the Jets. Offensive tackle Nate Wozniak is back in Minnesota. On Sunday, the Vikings announced the signing of the 24-year-old. The veteran offensive lineman was originally signed by the Saints as an undrafted rookie out of Minnesota in 2018. He spent last season on New Orleans practice squad before being waived on Friday and signing with the Vikings on Sunday. Cardinals Chief Operating Officer Ron Minegar is in hot water. On Sunday, ABC 15 reported that the executive vice president had been arrested Saturday for suspension of driving under the influence. Shortly after the announcement, the Cardinals released a statement calling Minegar's drunk driving arrest inexcusable, with the arrest coming just 1 year after General Manager Steve Keim being arrested for the same offense. Minegar will be facing a much harsher penalty by the team than Keim's fine-gave suspension and $200,000 fine. Offensive tackle Shon Coleman's 2019 season is over. On Sunday, the San Francisco 49ers announced that the 27-year-old had been placed on injured reserve and was out for the 2019 season. Coleman suffered a horrific leg injury in the 49ers matchup versus the Cowboys on Saturday night. On Sunday, the team reported that the veteran lineman underwent surgery to repair a fractured fibula and dislocated ankle. Coleman was drafted in the 3rd round by the Browns in 2016 and spent 2 seasons in Cleveland before being traded to the 49ers last offseason. In his 3-year NFL career, the 6'6", 310-pound tackle has played in 23 games, starting 16. Linebacker Terrance Smith has a new home for the 2019 season. On Sunday, the Miami Dolphins announced the signing of the 26-year-old. Smith was signed by the Chiefs as an undrafted rookie out of Florida State in 2016. He spent last season on injured reserve with a knee injury. In his 3-year NFL career, Smith has amassed 36 tackles, 1 sack, and 1 interception. Dolphins waived Jonathan Woodard to make room for Smith. Cornerback Derrick Jones has a new home for the 2019 season. On Sunday, ESPN reported that Green Bay Packers had claimed the 24-year-old off waivers. Jones was drafted in the 6th round by the Jets in 2017. Since that time, he has played in a total of 4 games. The signing gives the Packers some needed depth in their secondary. Wide receiver Shelton Gibson is looking for a new home for the 2019 season. On Sunday, the Eagles announced they had released the 25-year-old. The veteran pass catcher was originally drafted by the Eagles in the 5th round in 2017 and would be part of the team that won Super Bowl 52. Gibson also played on special teams and amassed 3 receptions for 59 yards in his 2 years with the team. Long snapper Kevin McDermott is searching for a new team for the 2019 season. On Sunday, NFL Network reported that the Vikings were releasing the 29-year-old. McDermott was originally signed by the 49ers as an undrafted rookie out of UCLA in 2013. He spent 1 season in San Francisco before signing with the Ravens in the middle of the 2014 season. He played 7 games for the Ravens before being placed on injured reserve. He signed with the Vikings in the 2015 offseason. He spent 4 years in Minnesota prior to his release on Sunday. Pittsburgh Steelers suffered a tragic loss to their coaching staff. On Sunday, the team announced the passing of wide receivers coach Darryl Drake. Drake was in his 2nd season as a receivers coach for the Steelers after previous coaching stints in Chicago and Arizona. Drake had also coached in the college ranks and was a beloved member of the coaching fraternity and mentor to many coaches and players around the league. Shortly after the announcement, head coach Mike Tomlin released a statement about the impact Drake had on his coaching career. His sentiment was followed by team president Art Rooney, who stated how heartbroken the team was by Drake's sudden loss. Buccaneers head coach Bruce Arians, who worked with Drake in his 5 seasons in Arizona, spoke with the media about Drake's passing, stating that the world had lost a great person, not just a great coach. Every NFL team expressed their condolences to the Steelers organization and to Drake's family. Darryl Drake began his NFL coaching career as an associate head coach and wide receivers coach in 2004 with the Chicago Bears. He would remain in Chicago until 2012 before moving on to be the wide receivers coach for the Arizona Cardinals. He would coach in Arizona from 2013 to 2017 before becoming the wide receivers coach for the Steelers in 2018. Many players expressed their heartache and shared stories of the impact Drake had on their lives, both on and off the field. His legacy and his impact on the football community will long be remembered. Finally, we must talk about Antonio Brown. When last we spoke to him, it was during his trade and subsequent new contract with the Oakland Raiders. Since that time, new issues have arose with the veteran receiver. First, AB suffered extreme frostbite on his feet while failing to wear proper foot attire while undergoing cryotherapy treatment this offseason. He was placed on the reserved non-football injury list after just 2 practices at training camp with no timetable set for his return, since it is dependent upon how long it would take his feet to heal from the damage. The drama with Brown only continued this week. Now, back in April, the NFL and the NFLPA banned 11 different helmet models that tested poorly in preventing head injuries. Only 32 players in the league were wearing one of the banned helmets, including Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, and Antonio Brown. Since the announcement, Rodgers and Brady have switched to the newer helmet styles, but Brown refused to make the switch and stormed out of Raiders practice in protest. Brown tried to sneak his old unapproved helmet into practice and was rebuffed by the team. Now, the team has offered to have him fitted for one of the approved models, but Brown has refused and threatened to retire from the league if he doesn't get to wear his banned helmet. Brown went so far as to file a grievance with the league over the issue, and in a meeting with officials on Friday, Brown's lawyers threatened to hold the league liable if AB suffers a head injury while wearing the new helmet. Okay, look, now the problem with Brown's helmet is unique to the specific type he wears. While the other helmet models were banned because of failed safety tests, the Shut Air Advantage helmet is only banned because it hasn't been certified by the National Operating Committee for Standards in Athletic Equipment, and the NFL doesn't allow players to use any uncertified helmets. NOCSAE won't certify any helmet older than 10 years, and Brown's particular model is 12 years old. This could make way for the league agreeing with Brown's argument and allowing him to continue to wear the older model, though this is a very unlikely scenario because it means that they would be making concessions for just one player when all other players have already made the switch. Meanwhile, head coach John Gruden has come out and supported Brown and his fight to wear his helmet, though Gruden is really left with little recourse in this matter. Will Brown really retire over such a trivial issue as a helmet? AB posted a cryptic message on Twitter alluding to the fact that he just might do that. Brown has career earnings of $69.94 million over 9 seasons, so he wouldn't be hurt for money if he decided to walk away. But it would also mean walking away from the $50.125 million contract he signed this offseason over a banned helmet. The NFL is expected to hand down their ruling over this issue this week, so we'll see what happens with this insanity moving forward. With the Raiders being the featured team on the HBO series Hard Knocks this season, the AB saga has added one more interesting story for fans to watch for. Well, that's all the time we had today. I want to thank everyone again for listening and spreading the word of the podcast. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at TheNFLGirl320. You can also read more of my thoughts on SheKnowsProFootball.com. Thanks for listening and see you back here next week.